Good day, my fellow educators. I hope you will bear with me as I discuss to you my topic today. MELCS-based planning for distance learning delivery. New normal is often heard nowadays as a result of pandemic that is going on now. There is a lot of new normal that took place in every daily routine on jobs, on every government processes, and in education. In government, everything must first be done through online. But how about in our educational system? What does this new normal looks in education? For years, Philippine educational system has been traditional but gradually changing to cater the demands of the new generation. As a matter of fact, before this new normal came to light, teachers and learners are already using the internet, computer, and other technologies in education. But the difference lies between having face-to-face class and now in new normal classes are done virtually. That it introduces three modalities of how learning shall be delivered in this new normal. These are the distance learning, blended learning, and homeschooling. In education, learning modalities are also known as learning styles, are as defined as the ways in which students use their senses throughout the learning process to acquire new skills. As we close the first quarter of our new normal classes using distance learning modalities, how ready we are. Are we prepared to move for the second quarter? Are we still using our MELCs? So let me discuss to you as part of my topic the rationale of MELCs as well as the different learning modalities used in distance learning. The department came up with the most essential learning competences, or what we call MELCs, to be used nationwide by field implementers for school year 2020-2021. The release of the MELCs is not just a response to addressing the challenges of the current pandemic, but is also part of the department's long-term response to the call of SDG 4 to develop resilient education system, most especially during emergencies. But what is this SDG? SDG means Sustainable Development Goal. It aims to ensure inclusive and equitable learning of quality education and promote our lifelong learner. The MELCs can be used under similar circumstances as a mechanism to ensure education continuity. However, releasing the MELCs does not downplay the standards set by the K-12 curriculum guides. Rather, they serve as one of the guides for teachers as they address the instructional needs of the learners while ensuring that curriculum standards are maintained and achieved. Furthermore, MELCs intend to assist schools in navigating the limited number of school days as they employ multiple delivery schemes by providing them ample instructional space. The department, through the Bureau of Curriculum Development, Curriculum Standards Development Division, in collaboration with the Assessment Curriculum and Technology Research Center, or we call ACTRC, started working on the identification of essential learning competencies in the middle of 2019 as part of its review of the intended curriculum. Bureau specialists, academic experts, and field implementers work together to reach a consensus regarding the criteria to be used and mechanisms to adopt in determining these competencies. The review focused on articulation within and across learning areas and grade levels, which led to the identification of gaps, issues, and concerns. Moreover, areas of improvement that would enhance the learning engagement, experience, and outcomes were identified and consequent solutions were recommended. So I know that this MELCs is not new to you because during our LDM course 2, we have already learned what is MELCs. We have already unpacked this as one of our activities in our LDM course 2. And let me review, let me refresh you. When we say essential learning competencies, what is it? When we say essential learning competencies were defined as what the students need, considered indispensable in the teaching learning process to build skills to equip learners for subsequent grade levels and consequently for lifelong learning. So when we say lifelong learning, it is very much needed, like essentials, but during our pandemic. Now, what are the essentials that we need in times of crisis? So when we say essential, it is very needed. It serves as the foundation to build our lifelong learners. That's why this curriculum, the curriculum is selected. No, the most essential parts or the very important ones are being get in order to determine what is really needed for this time of pandemic. But how about desirable learning competencies? These were defined as what may enhance education but may not be necessary in building foundation skills. In other words, it is only what we decide of. No? It is just an enhancer. Like in the cake, it's only an icing that decorated. But the most important is the cake itself. No, it's not the icing. So that is what you call desirable. It is not really needed to form, to build the foundation. So how do we know if that learning competency is essential? There are characteristics of that. The first one is learning competency is essential if it is aligned with national, state, or local standards and framework, especially to us Filipinos. So it is only applicable to us. So we will not copy what is in other countries because it must be aligned and it is very applicable to us Filipino learners. So that is essential. What is essential to us Filipinos might not be essential to other countries. Next is, it is essential if it connects the content to higher concept across content areas. It must be connected with each other. Next, it is applicable to real-life situations. So we have our own traditional traditions, customs, and practices in the Philippines. So we need to learn only what is essential, what is needed, what is applicable to our own place, what is needed for us Filipinos, now for us, for the Filipino learners, that we should apply it in our real life situation. So that is considered essential. Next, essential if it would be important for students to acquire the competency after he or she left that particular grade level. Even though that pupil or learner already moved to the next level, still that competency is needed. It is still there, no? It is a prerequisite that potential, that learning competency is still needed for the next grade level, and it should not be forgotten. Next, it would not be expected that most students would learn this through their parents or communities if not taught at school. So there are skills really not taught in our home. So we need also to learn this in school. And those are considered essential because there are things that are taught already in school but not in our homes. So we need to learn that. So those are the characteristics of essential learning competency. As the department anticipates the challenges in employing various schemes in the delivery of the learning standards due to COVID-19, the number of the identified essential learning competencies per quarter were further reduced, thus the term called most essential learning competencies. In determining the criteria for the selection of the MELCs, the department collaborated with stakeholders from ACTRC, during which the descriptor is endurance. It was considered a primary determining factor. So before they came up with the MELCs, there is that primary determining factor, and that is called endurance. A learning competency is considered enduring if it remains with learners long after a test or unit of study is completed, or if it is useful beyond a single test or unit of study. Examples of these learning competencies includes research skills, reading comprehension, writing, map reading, and hypothesis testing, which are essential in many professions and in everyday life. So these skills really are very essential for our everyday life. The department then identified these MELCs across all learning areas through the application of the understandings. Necessary in this process is the decision whether a learning competency is to be retained, merged, dropped, or rephrased. So if you can remember, there is in our LDM course unpacking of the MELCs. As a general rule, a learning competency is retained if it satisfies the endurance criterion, which greatly contributes to a lifelong learner and is a prerequisite skill to the next grade level. So we need to retain that. Two or more learning competencies are merged or clustered if they have the same objectives or learning intention and can therefore be combined into one comprehensive learning competency. That should be merged or clustered. However, learning competencies are removed or dropped due to the following reasons. What are these? They are too specific, and the articulation is similar to that of the learning objective, so we need to drop that. Another reason, they are deemed appropriate to be introduced in an earlier quarter or grade level or moved to a later quarter or grade level. So it's not appropriate. It's not yet the time to be put there in that certain level. So we need to drop that. Another reason is they are recurring, means repeatedly happen. It is always there. It is repeated. So we need to drop. And the last, they are subsumed in another learning competency. Subsumed means to include or place within something larger or more comprehensive. So those are the reasons why some learning competencies need to be dropped. Finally, a learning competency is rephrased to be more concise. So when you say rephrase, you should add some more. You should say it in another way around. That should be more concise. So that is to rephrased. The content and performance standards are directly lifted from the curriculum guides. Its inclusion is to emphasize that the identification of MELC is anchored on the prescribed standards and not a departure from the standard-based basic education curriculum. So in other words, we do not change the curriculum. We do not change the basic, the K-12 curriculum to our MELCs. Instead, it is an additional. It adds. It is still there. The curriculum is still there. That is what you meant by anchored. We did not depart from our own basic curriculum. Field implementers and private schools are encouraged to contextualize the most essential learning competencies in order to accommodate the varying contexts of learners, teachers, learning environment, and support structures, considering both the content and performance standards. It is advantageous for students to learn the concept and skills in the MELCs through meaningful activities and scenarios relatable to them and within the context of the student's own environment. The MELCs are implementable as long as the design activities also teach the procedures and processes on how and when to apply those knowledge and skills in a given context. With this, Filipino learners are guaranteed relevant and quality basic education despite the current health crisis. So, The identification of MELCs intends to provide instructional space among field partners, implementers to deliver quality instruction amidst the limited learning modalities and shortening of the school year. Likewise, the release of the MELCs does not confine teachers in navigating the peculiarities of the learning landscapes. Just like the pre-COVID years, you are highly encouraged to unpack the curriculum into learning objectives through MELCs in order to systematize learning activities and effectively address the varying needs of learners and the challenges of instructional deliveries. So that is how important MELCs is to us in times like this. And how is it related now to our situation? So if we have MELCs, then how do we use this in our distance learning? Why do we have MELCs? And how is it related to our distance learning? So I will also read to you what are the modalities for distance learning. For I know that you know already what are this, but let me refresh this to you as part of my discussion today. The first one is, what is distance learning? This refers to a learning delivery modality where learning takes place between the teacher and learners who are geographically remote from each other during instruction. And that is what we are practicing now in time of this pandemic. So when we say distance learning, it's an arranged class where learners and teachers do not personally attend classes. So that is distance learning. How about modular distance learning? This is what we are practicing in our district this year. Learning is in the form of individualized instruction that allows learners to use self-learning modules in print or digital format or electronic copy, whichever is applied in the context of the learner's materials, textbooks, activity sheets, study guide, and other study materials. What is the objective of this modular learning? It is facilitated by self-paced learning. Usually, the learners are the ones answering the activities in the modules and everything without the guidance of the teachers personally. Only the modules were given and they are just reading and answering them with the help of their parents or household facilitators. So through modules. How about online distance learning? It features the teacher facilitating, learning, and engaging learners' active participation using various technologies accessed through the internet while they are geographically remote from each other during instruction. Usually, this is practiced by our college students. They are having their online distance learning. They are using their cell phones, but sometimes cell phones also have limitations, so they are allowed to use their laptop, tablet, computer, to implement this kind of modality, wherein the teacher is also there guiding them, facilitating them with interaction, but also they are also not attending personal classes, meaning they're also through only internet, that the teacher and the students are having their classes. Homeschooling. How about homeschooling? What is a homeschooling? It is an alternative delivery mode that aims to provide learners with equal access to quality education through a home-based environment to be facilitated by qualified parents, guardians, or tutors who have undergone relevant training. This learning takes place at home. Yes, of course, because it is said homeschooling. Even before pandemic, homeschooling is already practiced, especially there are children, there are celebrities who are already working and they cannot go to school because of their hectic schedule. they are using this homeschooling. Uh, so this is already practiced before pandemic. Blended learning. What is blended learning? This refers to a learning modality that allows for a combination of face-to-face and online distance learning, face-to-face and modular distance learning, face-to-face and TV radio-based instruction, and face-to-face learning, and a combination of two or more types of distance learning. So that is called blended learning. It's a combination. It's a conventional strategies with the use of technology. How about traditional face-to-face learning? I'm sure you are very familiar with this. This refers to a learning delivery modality where the students and teacher are both physically present in the classroom and there are opportunities for active engagement, immediate feedback, and socio-emotional development of learners. Yes, we really miss to have this face-to-face learning, but in this time, we cannot yet do this. This is very familiar with us before pandemic started. The face-to-face learning, where you can easily know who are your learners. You can see, you can easily identify the students. You can already rate the performance of your learners immediately. When you ask questions, immediately they will answer, and it is very easy for you to guide your pupils because you are both present in the classroom. So their behavior, you can easily identify them. So that is very advantage for the teachers and the pupils to have this traditional face-to-face learning. What is alternative delivery modes? Alternative delivery mode are tried and tested alternative modalities of educational delivery within the confines of the formal system that allows schools to deliver quality education to marginalized students and those at risk of dropping out in order to help them overcome personal, social, and economic constraints in their schooling. This is prepared by in the absence of face-to-face, and these are learning modules also, or self-printed modules given to the learners. So those are the different learning modalities. As educators with expertise in designing, planning for, and implementing learning experiences in using online tools and digital materials, we have created these resources to clarify the various types of distance learning that will likely take place. These new models of teaching and learning requires frequent and transparent communication. We also encourage leaders to be as clear as possible to ensure every student, teacher, support staff, parent, and household facilitator to remain safe, healthy, and connected. Teachers and support staff need to know they are supported through successes and failures. Students need to know they are seen, they are heard, despite not always being together in person in school buildings. Parents also need to know they are seen, they are heard, and supported through these transitions. For we know that this is very hard to the part of parents. So we need also to support them. We will let them feel that they are heard, that they are seen, and we need also to answer to their call. The well-being of every stakeholder in and around the school is of utmost importance, and we encourage leaders to check in regularly with their community. So not only the parents and teachers are all involved, but also we need to encourage also our leaders, barangay leaders, local leaders, also to support this program. During school closures, it is important that teachers continue to engage and interact with their students to provide assignments and, importantly, to provide timely feedback. So we need also to answer, especially even though we are far from our pupils, but through also technology and internet or whatever medium of instruction we need. And when our teachers, when our learners are asking, we need also to respond to them. We need also to respond to parents, because hand in hand we are helping each other for the welfare of our learners. Both self-learning and teacher-guided modalities are important and can complement each other. During school closures, it is important for teachers to continue to guide their students, to monitor their learning, and provide feedback, to encourage, and to inquire about their well-being and progress. So not after distribution of modules, retrieval of modules, we will just put that away. But of course, we need to motivate our learners even though we are far from each other. No? It is our learners, for the learner's sake, that we need to communicate with them still. They play an important role in supporting their students, not just within their learning, but also emotionally during these challenging times. So that is why communication should not be stopped, because learning will stop if communication among us, parents, teachers, and learners, will not will stop. Then learning will stop, because they need still our guidance. So to prepare us for the second quarter, I would like to read to you the suggested measures to foster academic ease during COVID-19 pandemic, with the provisions of the Department Order 12 series of 2020. Why do we need to know this? It is just a suggestion, but I know it can ease the burden of us all. The provisions of Department Order 12 series of 2020 on the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan recognize the value of flexibility in the teaching learning process based on contextualization. So when we say contextualization, what is it? I know you know it already. We have been attending seminars like this, and we are requested to do the contextualization, contextualize the topic in the subject, the 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 content of the subject matter, for our learners to be able to grasp the meaning, for the meaning of the certain lesson, for them to easy understood what is being talked about. It depends on our local community when we say contextualize, uh, to make it easier, depending on what is the availability in our certain locality. Flexible learning offers learners rich learning choices from multiple dimensions of study, applies learner-centered constructional approach, which is indicated by a shift from the teacher taking learning responsibilities to the learner taking these responsibilities, and requires learners to be more skilled at self-regulation in terms of goal setting, self-monitoring, self-instruction, and self-reinforcement. So you have noticed there's always the word self. It's about yourself, and it is what you call the self-learning modules. It's the learner itself, learning it in his own way, learning, studying in his own way. That is self-regulation, goal setting, self-monitoring, self-instruction, and self-reinforcement. It is about yourself. You study yourself, serve yourself. It is just in a blink that the responsibilities of the teachers is already transferred to the learners to have their own responsibilities to study themselves, In a flexible learning environment, teachers promote active learning by creating engaging, and effective situations. The Secretary, in collaboration with the Executive and Management Committees, has been closely monitoring the delivery of basic education services in the public schools since the start of classes on October 5, 2020. Because of some key challenges noted, there is a need to recalibrate the strategy of assigning teaching responsibilities of teachers and learning activities to the learners with the assistance of their parents. So that's why the parents also play an important role in this time of pandemic. The need to adjust the assigned tasks for the learners is anchored on the fact that learners have long been disengaged from academic learning since the onset of the pandemic last March 2020. By ensuring flexibility in teaching and learning, stress and burden of learning through the multiple distance learning modalities offered by DepEd will be reduced even as the learners are guided to focus on the most essential learning competencies. That's why MELCS is born. It is born to reduce the competencies that is just really for this time. So to help reduce stress and anxiety, the following measures are highly recommended. Schools may determine activities contained in the self-learning modules or learning activity sheets for the first quarter, which may be declared as optional so that learners are enabled to focus only on the most essential activities while allowing the fast learners to perform additional tasks. So for example, if on pre-test and post-test of the modules there are 6 or more items, let only the learners answer 5 items. And then the fast learners will be the one to answer or to perform the additional task. So that could help to lessen the burden of the pupils. So for Key Stage 1, example for those grades level 1 to 3, with one teacher in a section handling all the subjects, the teacher may consider interdisciplinary integration to moderate the activities to be accomplished. Such integration will be based on the development of reading and writing skills and numeracy. So we all know that from grades 1, these skills like reading, writing, and numeracy are very important for them to master. These are the most essential learning skills to be mastered by our grade 1 pupils so that it will be easy for them to adjust when they go on to the next grade level. How about for intermediate grades like grades 4, 5, and 6 onwards? For this grade with several teachers handling the subjects in a section like this, the teachers may negotiate for interdisciplinary integration to moderate the activities to be accomplished across the self-learning modules. So you are also the one to sit together, the teachers handling these children, these pupils. It's up for you to negotiate, to talk about what should be tackle, what learning skills should be developed, and what should be integrated to moderate the activities of these children. You know that in higher grades there are many subjects that they need to answer the modules. There are how many subjects they need to answer, so we need also to moderate the activities there, no, so that it will not be hard and difficult for the children and also to the parents to help their children, especially with this. So we are going to not let them answer everything, no? We should also be considered, let us be considerate also with them. Additional learning activity sheets may be made available for the fast learners who need enrichment activities. So if our children are fast learners, so we need to have enrichment activities. They need to answer or to perform additional tasks, unlike our slow learners that sometimes they cannot even answer, they cannot even finish at the time given to them. But for fast learners, so because they are fast, we need to give them some more enrichment activities. We will not stick only to the modules there. We can also give them additional enrichment so that they it will add knowledge to them because they are fast and they need to have advance more knowledge, and it's very easy for them. For the succeeding quarters, learning tasks in the SLMs or other learning materials may be streamlined to ensure that learning development is manifested and that activities or exercises sufficiently cover or develop the learning competencies leading to mastery. So we should also scrutinize, we will also check whether the activities given will lead to mastery and it is really the right ones and the right activities for the development of the needed skills that our learners need. So we should not give too many items, we should not give too difficult, which is hard for our learners to cope up and answer with, and especially some parents also, if our learners cannot answer, there are also parents who cannot answer it. Schools should put premium on the instructional management task of teachers and their workload or assignment. So this time, even though we do not have face-to-face classes, but it's hard for us teachers also to do the printing of the modules. At the same time, to check the modules returned by our learners, especially for teachers like holding 40 pupils in a class. So how many modules and how many pupils? So it's hard for also for the teachers. Support to the mental or health, socio-emotional well-being of teachers, students, and their parents or learning facilitators should also be expanded by organizing group wellness sessions and the like. So we should also help our parents. We should also organize some of our leaders, local leaders, barangay council, to help also with our parents facilitate the learning of these children. But not that we should always focus on this module. Sometimes we give also time to ourselves, wellness sessions, like we can do our group exercises, Zumba fitness for our mothers, so that it can also ease the burden of these modules to our parents. Time allotment for the completion, submission of activities or tasks of learners may be also considered. So we will give time for our learners to submit. So if we give the modules today, let us not ask them to submit it the next day after. The next learners and home learning facilitators found to be experiencing difficulties shall be provided additional support by teacher or learning support aides. For example, a household may have at least 2 learners across the different grade levels from K to 12 who are academically challenged and may not be able to do the SLM or LAS activities independently. Such households may be prioritized for visits by learning support aides. So of course, there are households where there are many children, like for example, there are elementary, my high school. So how can these parents assist to their children, especially these are working parents. So they just met at night time, and then their parents are tired, so they could not already help their children, and when they are working, these children are left at home only. So what learning will take place if these children really need the assistance of their parents, and if these parents also need assistance? So let us give priority to this for home visitation. If we cannot teachers give or visit, we do not have time to visit this household, may we request our learning support aides from our barangay local leaders to help them assist with this. So in preparation again for our second quarter, these are the things and the dates we should consider. Quarter 1 is extended until December 12, 2020. Quarter 2 shall be from January 4, 2021 to February 27, 2021. Quarter 3 shall be from March 1, 2021 to April 24, and Quarter 4 shall be from April 26 to June 11, 2021. The week of December 14 to 19, 2020 will be devoted to in-service training or Inset. That is what we are doing right now, which maybe include this MELC-based Quarter 2 planning for distance learning delivery modalities. That is my topic. Based on the retrieved modules in Quarter 1, the MELCs actually covered relative to their targeted weeks of implementation may be studied. The results of the study shall be the basis in programming the MELCs and their corresponding modules for Quarter 2 implementation starting January 4, 2021. That's why in order to prepare for our Quarter 2, we should also check our modules and see to it if the learning competencies were met and what are the things that we need to improve. So that will be our basis for our second quarter. So we should study the modules that we have already given, what needs to be adjusted, what needs to be corrected, and of course that will be our basis to start again our programming of our MELCs and their corresponding modules for Quarter 2 implementation starting this January 4, 2021. So in addition, the week may also be used for the activities of the regional office, schools division office, and school levels to assess the implementation of the contextualized learning continuity plan and gather evidence as basis for plan adjustment. So we need also to have our school level so that we can talk about what is good for our learners this coming Quarter 2. Based on the assessment, external stakeholders and partners like our LGUs, private organizations, and individuals may be tapped to provide much needed support like materials, equipment, and mechanisms, among others, to help teachers, learners, and parents in addressing the challenges in distance and home-based learning. Coordination with barangay or purok officials and matters related to child safeguarding and child protection shall be strengthened. The regional office, schools division offices, and public schools are fully authorized to implement other measures deemed appropriate for the respective contexts. The measures suggested are expected to enable the learners and learning facilitators to navigate through the challenges of the new normal in the teaching and learning process and make necessary adjustment throughout the school year. There is a great challenge ahead of this new normal. There's a lot to adjust and to embrace. But one thing is for sure, these modalities in learning presented can continually deliver quality education to our learners. Good luck to all of us. Thank you, and God bless us all.